Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the full council on today, the 24th of March. The meeting, as I say, I'm taking the chair this evening because the mayor has been taken unfortunately ill, and the deputy mayor is delivering quite a big report today, so we felt it was to ease matters through that I would take the lead chair. Thank you. So, to receive apologies for absence and note any non-attendance, ask the clerk, please.
We've got apologies from Councillor Mortimer, Councillor Murray, Councillor Graham, Councillor Houston and Councillor Mason.
Thank you. To note any declarations of members' interest. Councillor Rhodes.
I declare an interest in the committee minutes where a grant was given to the Crewe South Alleyway regeneration, and I am a member of the Crewe South Alleyway group.
Okay, noted. Any other declarations from anybody? Thank you. To confirm the standing minutes of the Crewe Town Council meeting held on the 2nd of December, are there any amendments to the minutes? I'd like to note that clerk is spelled without an E. Anybody else got anything to say? No. Okay. Going to item 4. To note a casual vacancy arising under Section 85 the Local Government Act 1972. To note that in accordance with Section 85 of the Local Government Act 1972, Councillor Chapman has ceased to be a member of the council due to non-attendance for a period of 6 consecutive months, and to formally declare the resulting casual vacancy under Section 86 of the Local Government Act 1972. Over to the town clerk.
Thank you, members. The council has estimate the matter arising under Section 85 of the Local Government Act 1972. Councillor Chapman has, by reason of non-attendance for a period of 6 months, ceased to be a member of this council, and in accordance with Section 86 of the Local Act 1972, I formally declare a casual vacancy now existing for the town council. And for members' information, the notice of election for the casual vacancy has been published today. In accordance with the statutory requirements, an election process will now proceed as timetabled by the Return Office.
Thank you. All right, any questions? Councillor Yates.
Just say nominations close at 4 o'clock on the 1st of April. So we'll know presumably after that.
Thank you. No issues. Now moving to item 5. Sorry, Councillor Edward.
Just to ask if, obviously we don't know the reasons for Councillor Chapman's leaving us, but could we perhaps be reminded if any of us in future do approach that 6-month absence and just kindly be reminded. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm aware that there is a register now which is being kept by the town clerk and other officers, and that such notification will come to each member. Councillor Jill Rhodes.
And could we have a letter of thank you to Councillor Chapman, because she's been on the council for 3 years, hasn't she?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'll pass that to the mayor and ask the mayor to do the thanks. Any other comments? No, thank you. Moving on then to item 5, a public participation. Periods not exceeding 15 minutes for members of the public to ask questions or submit comments in relation to the published agenda items. Any member of the public wishing to participate should email support@crewtowncouncil.gov.uk by 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting, providing their name, email address and an indication of the agenda item relating to their question or comment. Alternatively, your comments and questions can be submitted in advance and read to the committee at the meeting by the clerk. Attendance at the meeting in person is permitted, but space is limited. Today we do have a member of the public and a member of the constabulary with us. So not linked at all, by the way. So could I call upon Gavin Scott to ask his questions of the committee?
Hello members of Crewe Town Council. I'm here tonight to discuss my campaign #FixCrewe. My movement is dedicated into giving members of our community a chance to express what they want and changes that they would like in our town centre. I'd also like to take a moment to tell you some of the progress that we have made so far on the page. The first thing I've been doing is campaigning for Wetherspoons to return to our town centre. Since it left us in 2018, it doesn't really feel the same. And I've mainly been campaigning for the former M&S building's bottom floor because it is in the centre of our town, and I also believe that it would bring a lot of traction and lots of people would definitely most likely come. The second thing, I have been calling for the shopping centre to have renovations since it's looking quite sad and old. And I've also been in contact with lots of popular businesses like HMV, Yours Clothing, Lush, The Range, see if they would be interested in coming. And if we do modernise it, and it will bring a lot to our town, and it will definitely give an incentive of people to go, I want to come to Crow. And the main thing is that we have been backed by our community because the page has got over 200 followers now, we're nearly at 300. Which also includes local businesses, and it shows that people in our community, they want change. And this main campaign has also been shared with our MP Conor Naismith, and it proves that there are people in the community who want change, who want it, and instead of complaining about it. And I wish I could tell you a lot more about the page, but unfortunately I am on a time limit. Thank you. And I do also have a sketch here if any of you would like to have a look at it, of the shopping centre.
Yes.
You pass it around.
Is there anything else, Gethin?
Oh no, that's all I've got.
Okay.
So just if you guys want to have a look at that.
We will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, just in response really to you know, it's not in the gift of Crewe Town Council to bring Wetherspoons or any other retailer into the town. It's up to those individual organisations whether they want to locate into Crewe. As you know, Crewe Town Council doesn't own any property in the town centre to actually allocate us, and we don't have a, you know, as you know aware, Conor Naismith, we do have through the town board, we do have the encouragement, the scheme, the grant scheme to bring in businesses. But we welcome your enthusiasm, and we all share the same goal as to sort of regenerate Crewe Town Centre. We are involved in lots of the projects which are going on, the Crewe Zone, the Archive Centre, and the regeneration, and we bring lots of events to the town centre which bring in lots of people to the town centre. So we share your goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members want to make any comments? Councillor State Francis.
There are one or two members who are sat around this table who would love to see Wetherspoons come back.
There's some
And
yeah.
we'll support you all we can.
Right, thank you.
Councillor Yates.
Yeah, can I thank Gethin for his interest in it? I think what we'll see during this year is a real transformation in the centre of the town. You know, very soon the Royal Arcade is going to be open, and let's not forget that this town council really pushed for that area to be an open and green space for people to, in the community, to use, and long may it remain like that and not get developed on. I think the other thing is getting, there's something like 30 businesses now have taken up the repurposing our high street grant. They're all of them are independents, and one of the problems I think for Crewe Town Centre in the past has been a dependency on national chains, many of whom of course have moved out of town centres all over the country. So we now have a very, very different model in the town centre, which is really copying what's been successful now in many other town centres. I think the other thing to say, Mayor, acting mayor, or what, past mayor, or whatever you are, is this town council's committed to further expenditure in terms of tidying up and adding to the environment in the town centre, and our collaboration with the Crewe Business Improvement District is already showing great promise, and they've already committed to making further investments to make the centre of the town much more pleasant than it currently is. Thank you.
Right, so thank you, Gethin, for attending this evening. Now I'm going to bring in our guest speakers, which is Sergeant Joel Buckle.
Hello, good evening. I won't stand just with the tablet in front of me, but otherwise I would do. Just like to introduce Sergeant Carl Tatlock, who has recently joined Crewe Beat Management to look after the Crewe South district, so Crewe South Ward, Shavington, Williston and Wisterson. So he will be looking after the beat managers for that team. Obviously you've got Sergeant Roberts, who looks after Crewe East, Crewe North, Leighton and Haslington, as well as myself, with responsibility for the central area. Last full-time council meeting, I provided you with an update just around some stats and figures in terms of crimes and outcomes around those crimes. So since the 2nd of December, there's been a total of 3,271 crimes recorded in the Crewe local policing unit area. Various breakdown, as you can imagine, sort of December and into January, quite busy with people celebrating the festivities. In relation to that 3,000 number of crimes have been dealt with by Crewe LPU. Beat management have dealt with over 500 of those incidents, so looking at more the neighbourhood issues and anything that we can look to progress, with a 50.3% offences brought to justice rate. So what that means in layman's terms is, of that 561 crimes that we've dealt with, we've detected over 50% of those, whether that be an offender charged or dealt with via an out-of-court disposal, but still some form of sanction for their actions. So quite a busy period for us over the last 3 months. There have been 341 reported antisocial behaviour incidents in that time period. And I know that was something of consternation the town council raised late summer last year, which kind of sparked our problem-solving profile named Operation Apprehend, which was the incentive to drive more visible foot patrols into the town centre to try and combat antisocial behaviour and street drinking within the town area. In relation to that, the bus station and the car park adjacent to the bus station is our highest repeat area, with 10 reported incidents at that location. We're currently working in collaboration with Equans, who are the guardians of the bus station and the car park, to try and reduce that as a hotspot for antisocial behaviour. They've met with Mark Cotton, who's one of the design out crime officers, to see how target hardening can take place in that area. Just in terms of other activity and activation, you'll hopefully have recently seen the launch of the Business Crime Retail Partnership in Crewe, which again is aimed at reducing shop and retail thefts, which has ultimately culminated in Operation Watchmaker last week, which again was for all beat managers to engage with the shops and retail establishments across their wards and areas to provide safeguarding, investigate any open retail crimes, and ultimately try and make the shops as safe as they can do, to again encourage people to stay in the town centre when opening retail premises and to provide them that safeguarding. I know at the last meeting we discussed changes to how neighbourhood policing was going to look, and there was a lot of concerns around the changes to PCSOs. Obviously that's kind of come to a finalisation with it coming to the end of March, ahead of the new financial year. Pleased to report that we'll be retaining 8 PCSOs across the 4 areas within Crewe and Nantwich. So 2 from the south, 2 for the east, 2 for central, and then 2 over at Nantwich as well. And those colleagues will be in touch over the coming weeks once they get settled in post. Most are PCSOs anyway that we've retained. But just following the back of that, Chief Inspector Jones has now been provided with a briefing pack to discuss with all local councillors, parish councillors and town councillors around the future of neighbourhood policing and what that looks like going into the rest of 2026 and into the 2027 financial year. So he's just requested that as part of our attendance this evening is just to sort of gather interest and availability for councillors to attend. So if I could just ask as an item to take away, if you could email me by, well, the 26th of March, and that's in a couple of days, just for some availability over the coming weeks, so Chief Inspector Jones can pull that together and look to invite as many town and parish councillors as we possibly can do to provide a full update on what neighbourhood policing is going to look like in the local policing area over the next couple of months. And I appreciate we're time bound, so I'll kind of draw it to a close there, but just open to any questions if anybody's got anything that they kind of wish to raise at the moment. Our obviously objective is to try and encourage our beat managers and PCSOs have those working relationships with yourselves and the rest of the parishes that may not be represented in the room. But yeah, open to questions now.
Thank you. Thanks for your update. Any questions, Dennis? Councillor White.
Yeah, first question. Will you email the clerk so we can all get your email and reply to it as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Councillor John Rose.
Yes, I'm encouraged that the police are actively doing something around the bus station. Having used the bus station early evening and a couple of occasions later on, there's a lot of feral, what I would call feral kids, and it's quite intimidating. Some of them on bikes riding through, but I did notice the last time when I was coming to actually it was January, we were coming to a meeting here, but it being dark, you feel, I don't normally feel pressured at all in the town centre, you know, because I'm born and bred here, it doesn't bother me, but when you've got the young kids, and there's a lot of them, it's quite intimidating.
Yeah.
And there was a number of females on waiting for the buses back, and you could see whilst they're as tough as some of the guys, but it's not a good atmosphere. And so I'm encouraged that you've spotted that and you're doing something. But there is groups of what I call fellow kids knocking about.
Yeah.
And you can't talk to them because you just don't know what they've got or if they're on anything.
Yeah, no, of course, I completely acknowledge that. Just to come back with that, we are working collaboratively with Kelly Prince from the Youth Zone, who's completing some detached work, is what they call it, in terms of being out with social workers and members of the YMCA to try and build bridges with these children who are from, unfortunately, broken homes across the town and have come together as a collective bunch of misfits, for want of a better word, because we find collaboration together. To ultimately, when the youth zone opens, to try and guide them into there to move away from those areas. You know, we are definitely committed to try and make it as safe as possible for all residents. And just touching on the point of, you know, if there's any females that feel vulnerable around the bus station as well, I have reached out to Kate Blakemore and the White Ribbon Group to try and organise what we call a board walk. So a campaign against violence against women and girls to walk the town centre to identify any hotspots that could present vulnerabilities for females and young girls. So then again, we can go back to the design out crime officers to ultimately try and again make the town centre safer as much as possible it can.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Hobben.
Yeah, it's just a question about the meanwhile use on the remains of, but in the area next to the bus station. There's been a number of expressions of public concern about the swings and all the other attractions.
Yeah.
Will the police be keeping an eye on that? I mean, I'm optimistic and I think it's great to see that we've got some open space in the town centre that's available for public use rather than the wasteland we've had for a while. Is that something that the police can keep an eye on?
100%, yeah. So I echo your sentiments there, Steve, in terms of that it's positive to have some green space for the town centre that breaks up some of the concrete that we've got. However, it is an area of concern for me because ultimately antisocial behaviour does move around in pockets, and if there's a space to congregate and look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs of somewhere that's lit and something for them to do, yes, will they probably congregate there? So yeah, we have got plans in place to combat that, and also working with Adam Gerard from the BID and Annie from the BCRP in terms of how we can target hard in that place. Whilst we want people to use it, it's got to be used in the right way, hasn't it? So it's free for everybody without any malice or favour. So yeah, it's in the pipeline for when that scaffolding comes down, that will be in and around the area. Because we can do some activation there as well that reaches out to positively engage with all users.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Councillor Yates.
A couple of comments really. I think the focus now on neighbourhood policing in the town is absolutely fantastic and such a tremendous improvement on some of the experiences that we had a number of years ago. I think I'd encourage councillors to go on to there's a lot of information on the police website, details of the beat meetings and surgeries that are run, details of the crime incidents, you know, where they are. You know, look at your street. and see what has gone on in your street. We can do it. And I think, and I welcome Sergeant Taplock. He will be appearing at the Manchester Road Action Group in due course. Forward to that. Thank you very much.
That wasn't a question for you.
No.
Any, Councillor Pratt?
Just briefly on the issues with the multi-storey car park, are the incidents actually happening in the car park itself?
There's a mixture, yes. Some within the car park and some just around the periphery. The difficulty is although the shutters come down, there are still ways onto the car park, and obviously it's dry, it's lit, and it's out of sight. So for people that want to commit antisocial behaviour or maybe further illicit activities, it's perfect for them once the shutters go down, out of sight, out of mind, supposedly. But that's something that has been raised with Equans to try and address as well. And the security guards now that roam the bus station and car park have been equipped with body-worn video cameras. So if there are any perpetrators, they can activate those and capture them. And obviously they're also connected to the town centre CCTV, who've got access to our control room to report it through to us as well. So
in terms of the shutters you mentioned, I remember when the car park opened and we visited as councillors for the opening, and one of the things myself and another member raised was the fact that you needed a ticket to access the pedestrian entrance, which seemed a bit pointless because you could literally just walk in where the cars go in. We raised with Cheshire East whether they could actually have shutters that went up and down to let the cars in and out.
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be any appetite for that at the time, so I don't know whether that's something that Mark Cotton could look at. I'm guessing it's
potentially, because I know like sort of out of hours there are proper grilled shutters that do come down, but I don't know in terms of how that would impact the day-to-day operation. I think it's well documented the negativity around the use of the car park. So if the shutters were to be used as the access barrier, would that then make it look closed permanently? I don't know, and then detract from people utilising it. But it's something I'll take back, James, and I'll speak with Paul at Equans and Mark as well and see whether that's something that is considered. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for your attendance.
Lovely. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Before we go to item 6, Sally did leave a short report, so if you don't mind, I'd just like to read. So since the last full council at the beginning of December, there have been many Christmas events that Stuart and Sally were invited to, and we were extremely busy. Although the new year did start quietly, engagements now are back up to the same level as before. Notable mayoral events since the last full council were the civic service held at St Stephen's Church on Gatesborough Road, Females Diversity and Inclusion, and it was very moving service with the funky choir singing John Lennon's Imagination, Winterley Methodist Brass Band playing Love Divine, and a number of crew residents sharing short prayers in a variety of languages. We invited recipients of the Civic Awards to attend the civic service. The awards were a couple of days after the service, so it's a wonderful representation of the many community groups and individuals which make up some of the great things about Crewe. So moving on to item 6, to receive the updates from the committee chairs in relation to meetings held since the Crewe Town Council meeting on the 2nd of December. I can call upon the chair of Finance and Governance, Councillor Jill Rhodes.
Good evening. I've only got one item to recommend to the council, and that is that we accept the civility and respect pledge which went through F&G and was unanimously agreed. I'm happy to propose that.
We have a seconder, Councillor Baines Francis. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Then to Committee Public Services, Councillor Stuart McKay.
Thank you. With Chair's permission, I think it might be best if I go off 4 items on this, I go one at a time.
Yes.
So starting off with the first one in terms of cleaner Crewe budget, this is approval of the earmark reserve allocation. So to consider and approve the Public Service Committee's recommendation regarding the allocation of the cleaner Crewe budget with the recommendation that full council approves these 2 items. First, the transfer of £45,000 cleaner Crewe budget into an earmark reserve for use in 26-27, and secondly, an upper limit of £25,000 for early interventions in 26-27 to support the cleaner Crewe activities, including West Street Amnesty Day and cleanup alleyway improvement works, deep cleaning near the station town centre, repair works in two alleyways, and deep cleaning in Market Square, Market Street, Victoria Street, and Queensway.
Any questions on that item? Councillor Jill Rhodes?
Yeah, I've got absolutely no problem with the transfer into that reserve. What I have got not an issue with, because I quite understand the need to clean up areas of Crewe, and I understand the committee's authority to transfer items within its budget. But to me, if I was a member of the public, I wouldn't know how to get what I wanted to be done onto this list. And I think it's something that I hope the committee will take away and think about, that if it wishes to continue with this, it actually sets up a proper system, so we have an open and transparent way that members of the group can come to the town council and put forward their particular area if they particularly need to have that cleaned up. So I understand what the committee's done at this point, but I think going forward, if it intends to continue to do this, then we need a proper system.
Councillor Coyley?
Yeah, just in response to that, I think we've had a member of the public that's Kathleen come forward tonight and actually mention areas like we can be cleaning up the Max Market Square, Market Street, Victoria, and Queensway. So I think the committee were right to put those on the list.
Sorry, I was going to make a comment myself, but go on, Councillor Hogben.
Yeah, I mean, in part, this was a response to proposals that have already come forward from several sources, as members should know, both in the West Street area and in the south of Crewe, and then also involved, I think, the interest from the bid, or involvement of the bid, as well as probably the friends of Crewe South Alleyways and others. So it's been a response to those, and the issue, I think, I would say was, but if we transfer the current year's £45,000 budget into an earmarked reserve, that we want to see some use of it arising from residents' wishes, and some of those have already been expressed. So it is important at any rate to set an upper limit. It doesn't mean it has to be spent. It's not exactly a grant pot. There's a limit on the use of that particular reserve. But I'll second that proposal from the chairman.
I just wanted to make a comment that I'm aware that we had the Natchez Road Action Group meeting last week, and items on here, were discussed by those residents, and there's a number of residents there who actually put those forward, and especially on the alleyways. I got residents who are fighting at the bit to actually do their alleyway up, but they need some support to get it cleared in the first instance, and then they want to take over and adopt it. And as councillors, I hope that we are actually speaking on behalf of our residents anyway. So, Councillor Rhodes.
Can I come back? Because I think that you are interpreting what I said as that I don't want this work to go ahead, and that you feel a need to justify these proposals. That is not what the point I am making. The point I am making is that if the committee wishes to continue to do this, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea, in fact it probably is meeting very much what residents want, then it needs a proper system that the public can see where these requests have come from. So I'm not saying I don't agree with it. What I'm saying is, if this is the way the committee wants to move, then it needs a proper system. Just like the community committee decided it wants to give grants and it set up a system to do that. And if the public services wants to use money in this way, then it needs a system to do that.
Thank you for the clarification. Councillor Pratt.
Okay, I understand the need for a system and to have resident input. When we went back, thinking back to the Clean and Crew project, it was around like last February or March, when we were asked to nominate alleyways to have cleaned up, and I spent a considerable amount of time meeting that deadline, communicating with residents and getting their buy-in for the project. And of course, nothing went forward with Cheshire East. So this area on West Street is the one which had the most responses, and I've got that information documented if we needed to back that up. So that is why I pushed within the committee to look at this area. It's the worst part of the ward and set partners.
Yeah. Councillor Hopper.
Well, bearing in mind, excuse me, bearing in mind what Councillor Jill Rhodes has said, and it's very sensible. I suggest that the recommendation that we approve, adds something to the effect that at this next meeting, perhaps the Public Services Committee considers a system for considering requests for use of this money whilst we have it. I think that's very sensible, and I think that's probably our intention. But it makes sense to add that to the recommendation if the chair accepts that as an amendment.
So we need to vote on item 1. So we're recommending part 1 the transfer to reserves, and part 2 is the how to spend this initial 25,000 as supported with evidence from these projects, but in future that the Public Services Committee will review a system appropriate to actually review how to spend any other additional project funding.
Yeah.
Happy with that? So I have a proposer for that, Councillor Rose, seconded.
Well, I actually proposed the amendments.
So right, suppose so we'll now vote on the substantive recommendation as amended. So all those in favour?
It's for part 1.
Yes, part 1. Okay, so we'll move then to item 2.
So with item 2, it's to do with the approval of a redeployable CCTV camera purchase. To authorise expenditure for the purchase of a redeployable CCTV camera to support environmental crime enforcement and community safety. The recommendation of the council is that the full council approves the purchase of a redeployable CCTV camera at a cost of £3,110 for year 1, that is the camera plus the data, and then ongoing data costs of £600 per annum from year 2 onwards, funded from the 360 CCTV earmark reserve.
Any comments, members? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Edwards. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Item 3.
So for this one, it's to do with transfer of parks and allotments underspent to earmark reserve. So to approve the creation of an earmark reserve to support the maintenance of allotment sites. The recommendation of the council is that full council approve the transfer of unspent 25-26 parks and allotments budget into a dedicated allotments earmark reserve to enable tree and hedge maintenance following the next season period.
Okay, so seconder.
No, second that as vice chair.
Okay. Any comments? Councillor Rhodes.
Again, it's something I would hope the committee will look at, because being one of the few people who was around when the council started, along with Irene and Joy, sorry, it was agreed that we would not collect rents from the allotments, but in lieu of that, the allotments were responsible for their own maintenance. Now, I know that has been forgotten over time. And I also understand from what this money is to be used for, that it's something that allotments probably can't manage on their own, because it's too much to ask one plot holder to go and cut the hedge. You know, if they're on the Ruskin allotment, to go and cut the hedge and maintain that hedge. So it's obvious that the allotments cannot undertake all the maintenance. So I think the committee needs a policy which is clear to all the allotment sites about what it will maintain and what it won't maintain.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Could we know what the underspend is? What kind of number are we talking about or discussing?
Sorry, we'll just go to the clerk. So those figures.
I don't have exactly.
Looking quickly at this page, because it's in the budgets, in the budget papers, there's a currently for parks and allotments there's a budget of 10,000, and so far just under 2 has been spent.
Thank you, councillor Yates. So circa 8,000 then to be transferred to the earmark reserves. Okay, so we have a proposal, councillor McKay, and a seconder.
Second.
Can I propose an amendment?
Councillor Rhodes, amendment.
That the amendment would be that the Public Services Committee forms a policy which specifies what the council will maintain, what the council will maintain, bearing in mind that we are losing considerable income from the rents from the allotments.
So I ask the clerk then to take that away and have a look at the policy and bring that forward to the Public Services Committee. Do I have a seconder for that recommendation? Councillor Basie. All those in favour of the amendment? Thank you. So we have an amended recommendation then, proposed by Councillor McKay and seconded by Councillor Hoffman. So all those in favour? Thank you. Right. Item 4, then, hoarding and frontage.
So this is to approve recommendations of the Public Service Committee regarding strategic earmark reserve management. The recommendation of the council is that the full council approves firstly the retention of the 358 hoardings and frontages earmark reserve, which is totaling £19,280, and secondly to transfer the transfer of unspent public realm funds to the 356 town centre capital projects earmark reserves, enabling payments to be made as project phases progress.
So that is proposed and seconded. Councillor Edwards. Councillor Edwards would like to speak.
Sorry, could you give an overview of the 356 town centre project? What is that? Sorry.
It's where we spend money on public realm in the town centre, so there's been a programme for benches and chairs, and there's been quite a lot of consultation work with people like Her Place and so on about the appropriate fixtures.
Yes.
During the town.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, the clerk.
I think it was also in relation to the lamp in the town centre. There was much money to renovate the black lamp outside the old boots, and the decision has been made not to progress with that because no progress has been made for a considerable amount of time, and to put that back into the reserve.
So proposed, seconded. Councillor Edwards. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Stuart. So moving on to the Events and Culture Committee, to be considered. So move on then to the Planning and Environment Committee. Councillor John Rose. There are 2 items for consideration.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The 2 items we need to consider. The Planning Committee, as you know, and the Town Council have been seeking with Cheshire East to set a heritage conservation area, and we got Purcell, the company that came over and did a lot of work, and they looked at Hungerford Road area, Nantwich Road area, the town centre, different areas, and they came up with what we should protect in our heritage. And unfortunately, discussions with Cheshire East had a tendency to shrink that down to what it is now, which is basically the town centre. It's basically from where we are here across to the Lyceum Square, up to High Town, St Paul's, and across Flag Lane, and it's all in the project. And what and thanks to the previous clerk, Pete, and the current clerk, and particularly to the officer that keeps Vicky, that keeps us all on track. We've now got what we believe is a way forward. It's not what I would say was ideal, but at least it's a stake in the ground to say that will be protected. And who knows, we would like to then creep it out over the time. But what we need, with your, if you would allow, we need to allocate £4,740 to enable us to get the conservation area and also a list of heritage, local heritage sites. So, for example, you know, the churches, the certain churches, you know, get a list. We've got a list that's been there for, you know, donkey's ages, and it's going to be updated, and they will do that for us. We had originally £70,000 in the budget. We've still got something like 20, is it? So it's not asking for any extra money. It's all there. So with your permission, if we could then spend it on that, and we would then be able to draw up a proper heritage area within the town centre. It protects the banks, the old Marks and Spencer's building, that type of building that we've all taken notice there. That will be protected because it'll have under this, and we will face criticism. What do you do before? Well, you can look back with some of those tinted glasses, but we have to put and go forward. So can we save anything? Can we look at what we've got, the hops and the block houses there and different buildings? Can we maintain those? Can we keep them? And this will enable us to do that.
Okay. Do I have a seconder? All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, members. So moving on to
I've got, sorry, and I'd love to finish, but I've got another one here. To consider and note the correspondence from Cheshire East Council regarding the call for sites process for the emerging Cheshire East local plan with submissions invited at the end of the month. That is basically, if any was, we looked at this at the planning committee, it's in the minutes. If any was nowhere is any plots of land that you might potentially have houses on, or businesses on, or waste product or parks, then we need to put that forward, or you put that forward under this consultation till the end of the month. It's for all part of the new local plan.
members know that to get those into Cheshire East by the 31st of March. Thank you. Any
Next
other
year,
comments?
better luck.
Any other comments? Councillor White.
That process isn't as simple as just suggesting
I know it's not.
And I just wondered if we had several of them here, we could do them through the clerk. And it'd be easier to do it like that. Would that be feasible? Are we allowed to do that?
I don't mind working on the consultation.
Well, listen, the clerk will take that away for consideration.
I'm happy to put anything forward. I'm very mindful of the timescales. If there is anything that needs to come through.
Yes, next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Councillor
read it.
Staines Francis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As far as I'm concerned, we've got enough houses already in Crewe. The amount of buildings that are going up still, compared with, I can't remember the exact figure what we were told about 4 or 5 years ago. But if the last time I asked someone about it, I can't remember who it was, we'd far exceeded that figure. And as far as I'm concerned, the only time we should be telling them how much space we've got is in 21-26, not 2026. Thank you.
Councillor Brabberton.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Chairman, if I should be speaking on this, as I am Chairman of Southern Planning. We have been told, we haven't decided, we've been told the number of houses that we now have to produce. And it was noted at very short time span that is what we have to do. So consequently, Dennis, we don't have now a recognised 5-year plan for housing numbers. And that's why we're becoming inundated at planning meetings with permissions, PIPs as we call them, which are basically landowners or developers finding pieces of land, which is what we're being asked to do here to, for our own benefit in a way. They are putting in these PIPs, which is saying to the council, if you will tell me whether that piece of land in the future can be developed, then we will go forward with it. So it's a permission in principle, as it's called. The only side to that is that we as a council, as a planning committee, cannot refuse them. because they are only in principle. It doesn't give them permission to build there. It just says, is this land suitable for building on, in effect, up to 10, I think it's maximum 10 houses. So what happened at the last planning committee was that the planning officers asked members if they could come up with any pieces of land that they recognise within their own wards that would be suitable for small level development. I mean, 2 houses, 3 houses, that sort of figure. And we've all got sites that could be used for infill in our areas. So it was just to identify those areas which would help us, if people came forward and wanted to build, it would help us to boost the number of houses that we're building now, slowly but surely, to try and meet the new figures that the government are telling us we've got to have. Before we go, before Steve mentions it, there have been letters sent from the planning department to the government pointing out that this is happening too quickly and we want a period of grace in Cheshire East, because we cannot find the land and invite developers in fast enough to meet their criteria. And also the fact that we've got to create a local plan now that has been updated, which could take us up to 3 years to do. So, you know, that's the situation we're in. It's come from government and they've told us that we've got to up the number of houses that we need. End of conversation, really.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of discussions about the local planning, and the Crewe Town Council will be involved in those discussions, and we can most probably get a member of the local plan team to come and do a presentation to the council. Thank you. So,
I think Steve had indicated a chair.
Steve,
I think
councillor.
it was merely to say it seems to me that this call for sites is just an invitation to site owners, really, to put their sites forward with a view to inclusion in the plan. And seeing as we are Crewe Town Council, I would suggest that we'd have to limit any comments we make to the Crewe Town boundaries. And my personal view is there's much left, not much space. If you look at Crewe South, I'd like to know whether there is a space where they could build something. It's probably a derelict site on the corner of a street somewhere. It's pretty feeble. So that the sorts of sites that they're looking for are such as that Weavers Green, but I can't talk about that because that's outside the Crewe Town boundaries. The 2,100 houses between the Leighton Hospital and Church Menshie.
Right, thank you, Councillor Hopper. Councillor Yates.
So if you're on the Cheshire East website and the bit that talks about the critical sites, you can actually see all the outcome from that exercise that took place 2 years ago. So you can see the sites and around us, aren't they? They're not in. There's not many actually in the parish. Most of it's out and about.
Thank you. So that was just for notes. So that was for consideration. So take consensus that we noted that and considered it. Thank you. The next committee was communities, and as chair, I'll propose the updated grant procedure is in the packs, and that was for consideration and noting. So we don't need to take a vote on it, but if there's any question, move on then to the personnel committee, and there's no items there for consideration. So moving on to item 7, to consider the nominations for and approve one for Mayor of Crewe elect for the civic year 26-27 and Deputy Mayor of Crewe elect for the civic year 26-27. Do I have a nomination for the Mayor of Crewe? Councillor Yates.
I'd like to nominate Stuart McCann.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Edwards, Councillor Bailey. Thank you. I'm not going to ask you to stay. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. So, do we have a nomination then for the Deputy Mayor of Crewe elect? Councillor McKay.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Martin Edwards.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
All those in favour? Again, that's unanimous, thank you, members. So, item 8. So congratulations to Councillor McKay and to Councillor Edwards. Hope you have a lovely civic year. So it is a nice meeting. Thank you. You'll be very busy though. So, right. Item 8, to note any updates from members having attended external meetings. Is there any member of Councillor McKay?
I have two who have attended. The first one is to report back on the Crewe Heritage Trust. Just so obviously, hope people are up to date. The new season starts on the 1st of April. I believe all councils have been actually invited to go along that Wednesday to see the changes that have happened over the course of the closed season itself. Also, there's been a co-option of 2 new trustees. The financial trustees. The financial trustee that will be appointed is Pete Turner, and for our community charity fundraising trustee is Robert White. We are obviously the trust are very grateful for their volunteers, and already we've now worked on and accepted a budget plan for 26-27, which has greatly improved the answerability and responsibility of the site itself. So we're looking forward to seeing what that can do there. Other than that, yes, I just would definitely recommend people to go and have a look at it. There's been a lot of changes in terms of its structure and the way it's presented. The shop has been renovated and renewed, as well as an exploratory exhibition as well, which of Crewe have, or not to mention, obviously, there's a lot of external elements going on. The funding that's been put into it as well in terms of bringing back the green areas, especially around the Military Railway, and also we've had National Rail, one other who have volunteered members of their teams to repaint all the fencing that goes from the roundabout all the way to the centre itself, so that will distinguish it and direct it much better. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes. So that's my report from the Heritage Trust. Before I move on to my next meeting, is there any questions? Okay. The next meeting I went to was on the 25th of February. I was invited to the role of Deputy Mayor. Pride in Leadership, which was held in Chester at St Mary's Creative Space. This is part of the LGBTQ plus Cheshire network. The idea was to bring together MPs, councillors, political leaders, civic representatives with Pride organisers to sort of reset the conversation. There was a concern amongst the LGBTQ plus community that the relationships had been strained over the last over 2025, and it was a case of getting together. Things on the agenda, for example, was looking at the historical history and background, how the relationship between political parties and governments and so on, successful government been with Pride. There was a sort of investigation of a deep dive into whether there has been a breakdown of trust. This, of course, is a national conversation, not related to Crewe. This is a national conversation. And then there was a workshop carried out about looking at the issues and how we can address them on there. In that regard, there was several, there was quite a few councils that were represented across Cheshire. As in, we're talking about Cheshire, we're talking about the whole Cheshire Digital Origins. What I would say in terms of this council and representing this council, I definitely reiterated our commitment to celebrating diversity within the town itself, and to Crewe Pride being part of that celebration of life in the town. This was very well received and acknowledged, and I have arranged to have a separate meeting with Debbie, one of the organisers, after the Easter holidays, to have a bit more of a conversation about how we can go along, continue to support these events and the LGBTQ plus organising network going forward into the new year.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Councillor Jill Rhodes.
I'd just like to give an update on the town board. It's currently monitoring projects. You can all see the massive building that's arriving on Oak Street. Town board also has updates on the archive centre, which is coming along, and they intend to have visits on the 1st of May. But I think we don't realise quite how much is actually going on, and how much positive progress there's been made around these new buildings and bit of this lovely thing here. Any other reports, members? Thank you. Moving on then to item 9, to consider and approve payments to date between the 28th of November 2025 and the 28th of January 2026 to the value of £336,261.14. This has been as recommended by the Finance and Governance Committee. Do I have a proposer? Do I have a proposer? Councillor Staines Francis, seconded. Councillor Yates. Any questions? All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Item 10, to note the spend to date to 31st of January, the financial material variance report as recommended by the Finance and Governance Committee. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Appleton, seconded. Councillor Mackay. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you, members. So item 11, to approve the business plan for 26-22 as recommended by the committees. The clerk has an update to just hand out.
In the pack, it's the Finance and Governance Business Delivery Plan only. This is the additional 3 from Community, Public Services and Events and Community. Circulate those for owners of the pack. Those are the ones which were approved at each subsequent committee.
So they have gone via each of the committees. They're just here for noting. So nope, they are for approval. So I do need everybody to a proposer for the business plans. Proposer for the business plans, please. Councillor Coyley, a seconder. Councillor Yates. Any questions? It's because of the late delivery of those business plans. If you do have any questions, then direct them to the appropriate officer or to the clerk. Councillor Yates.
Sorry, Chair, could I just ask now, would it be possible for this to be placed as a complete document in a way in which we can easily access it?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, this is a really good setup about what the council is doing, and it's something that we can use outside, and when we're talking to other people about exactly what, because the town council doesn't do anything, does it? This could be really useful to use if it can be set up that way, please.
It'll form part of the minutes, so it will be as part of on the website and the minutes anyway. So thank you. So all those in favour? Councillor Staines Francis, are we voting?
Are you voting?
No, not yet. I'm abstaining.
All right, okay. Those against? Any abstentions? Councillor Staines Francis. Right. Item 12, to consider and approve the earmark reserves provision for 26-27 as recommended by the Finance and Governance Committee. They were sent out in your agenda pack. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Edwards, seconded. Councillor Yates. Thank you. Any questions, members? All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. So, to receive and approve the interim internal audit report. Liz, is there anything you want to say?
You know, we receive the 2 internal audits per year, and the auditor identifies opportunities for to enhance what we do. As you'll see from the report, there were only 2 recommendations this year, which have now been put into place. They've been reported to the Finance and Governance Committee, and the audit is now complete. The full report is included in your papers, and it's just to provide internal assurance on adequacy and effectiveness of the council's internal controls, and to assess to receive and approve the internal audit and its recommendation.
Do we have a proposer? Councillor Yates, seconded. Councillor Y. All those in, any comments? I'd just like to say a big thank you to the officers once again for, you know, for their due diligence and to receive an excellent internal audit report is welcomed. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you members. Item 14, to review the committee membership list. Liz has supplied us with a current list of the committees and for those to be for the next coming financial year as well, so 26-27. If there are some vacancies on some committees, so it's on the back page, Steve. So.
I'll just click on that one.
It's there. Have you got it, Steve?
I've got it, yeah.
All right. So, Councillor Hoffman.
Yeah. It's for 26-27. I mean, this basically reflects the existing membership.
Yes.
And the real question is, have members actually considered what they want to do next year?
That was my next part of it.
At least one member who has no committees and may well want to join a committee or two anyway. And there may be others who want to change what they're doing in these 12 months.
Yes,
to be honest.
The next part of the thing was to review the committee. It does say attendance list, so which we have now changed to membership list. And if anybody wishes to join any of the other committees that they're not listed for, please to let Liz know as soon as possible, and also for consideration. So at this moment in time, it's just a review.
Can I also make a point? There will be a by-election in about a month's time. Actually, I would suggest that we can't sort of say, well, we'll approve this for 26-27 as it stands, because there will be a new member of the council coming.
We're not having to approve it, we're just reviewing it.
Is that what we're doing? Okay.
Because the list will go to full council at the
So
annual general.
decide on any new attendees.
Which is why I've just said to you, if that wording has been changed now, if you wish to join any other committee not listed, please let Liz know.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Edwards.
Just to say, yeah, it's a shame we've got, I think, 9 vacancies on our committees. There's 2 vacancies on the Events and Culture Committee, which is a fantastic committee, with a great chair. And I would just recommend that people fill those posts. Thank you.
As I said, it has been reworded to review the committee membership list, and if you wish to join any other committee not listed, please let Liz know. And the full list of committee membership will go to full council, annual full council. Thank you. Item 15 is to receive the calendar of meetings. That has also been circulated at most of the committees. If there's any issues, they should have been brought up already. Are we happy to receive the calendar of meetings?
Yes.
Sense of the meeting, yes. Thank you. Councillor Braverton.
Yeah, just wanted to ask, is there any way we can get one of these on A3?
Yes.
Because they are incredibly difficult to look at with your a little bit myopic.
I have laminated A3 ones that are available for circulation. So.
Oh, right, okay. To take away with us.
Yes.
Oh,
I have one on my office. Okay. Right then, item 16 to note the date of the next. Sorry, Councillor.
I think that's wrong. The date of the next meeting is annual council on the 19th of May.
You're quite right.
So I mean,
which is what I've got scribbled down.
Oh yeah, it's not what's on my.
The 19th of May.
Yeah, I'm glad that you've got a new word for this and the previous one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. Okay. To note the date of the next meeting, which will be annual council, which will be the 19th of May in the council chambers. Thank you. I now close the meeting at 7:05.